What's up, everybody? It's Clark here for the BOS Sports Blogcast. Coming to you as the state of the land Braves and Hawks cannot be better, considering the state of the Hawks early this season going back to January. After last night, losing the Heat 114 to 143 in a blowout loss with the entire Hawks starting lineup on the injured reserve list, the Hawks struggled versus the Heat, who were at full force yesterday. And there are some things we hope to see better, some things I'll perhaps factor into the Hawks' potential rotations going in the first game, which is Saturday versus the Knicks. The Hawks secure the 6th seed and their way out of the play-in tournament. Will be facing the 3 seed, the Knicks, starting Saturday at 6 p.m. The game will be on TV on Prime Video. So tomorrow is the start of the NBA playoffs with the play-in tournament. The Heat, who the Hawks played last night, will be the 10th seed and factor into that. NBA has given us a mixed-up pairing of playing teams with the 9-10 East and the 7-8 West teams facing off tomorrow, and the 9-10 West and 7-8 East teams facing off Wednesday. And the final scrap game for the East, for the 8th seed for both conferences, East and West, being on Friday. So we got Heat and Hornets squaring off, Suns and Blazers tomorrow, Clippers, Warriors, Sixers, Magic on Wednesday night. The winners of the 9-10 games will face the losers of the 78 games on Friday night for the 8th seed, and the winners of the 7-8 game will be the 7th seed. For the East, the winner would face the Celtics, and for the West, they would face the Spurs. Both very gaudy matchups for either team to come out of the play-in and face in the first round. So taking a quick scan around the NBA and previewing these matchups, Hornets cooled off to the end of the season, but this winter they showed a huge upside potential with their young starting five: LaMelo Ball, Don Knuppel, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Massa Diabate. As well, they rotate in Ryan Kalkbrenner to give them a bit different look at center, and they added Kobe White at the deadline. He was very solid on the Bulls. He struggled a little bit on the Hornets. They really need Kobe White to step up and be key bench depth for them here in the play-in tournament. I look for them, though, to make some noise and make it to face the Pistons in the first rounds. And for 76ers Magic, I like the Sixers. The Magic, they absolutely got manhandled by Celtics bench. Luke Garza actually exploded all over the Magic last night. And that's a fortunate scenario for Magic, as they'd probably be out of a first-round series versus Celtics in about 4 or 5 games. That'd be some dirty work. So they'd want to lose, at least be the 8th seed, if not worse. So looking at West Coast, we got Clippers, Warriors. Have to see if Kristaps Porzingis is available. If he has that mysterious illness that comes back. Of course, he had that a lot with the Hawks and going back even to the Celtics, prevent them from playing. Kristaps Porzingis, he had some solid games for the Hawks. Helped them tread water there in November, early this year. So hopefully he does well there for the Warriors. And Steph Curry's back for them as well. I look for Steph Curry and Kawhi Leonard to have an absolute duel. And the Warriors to edge out the Clippers if Kristaps Porzingis plays 22 minutes or more. Suns Blazers are a bit more a shocker. Teams that snuck up last season, with Blazers being 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're a young physical team with high upside guys from Danny Avdija, Drew Holiday, of course, the sure hand at point guard. Donovan Clingan, he's been strong. They got a couple of nice athletes coming off the bench, and Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, and the sharpshooter they acquired from the Hawks as well. V. Krejci's down their depth chart. All right, so the Blazers, they would be a nice first-round matchup versus Spurs. Donovan Clingan, he's a physical 7-foot center. He'd certainly provide some resistance to Victor Wembanyama. Make things a little bit interesting, make things a little bit harder for the Spurs. The Suns, it wouldn't be quite a very good matchup versus Spurs. So the 8th seed, they got to deal with the Thunder. Whew, good luck to them. So later this episode, we'll be recapping last night's Braves game and updating the Braves season so far. As well, we got replay of the Kobe Bryant Stuart Scott tribute. Have to bring that up with NBA playoffs coming up. 2 NBA icons who absolutely define the playoffs in their era. So, for now, let's switch and shift gears to the Hawks. So, last night was a tough loss, 117-143 to the Miami Heat. There were a lot of silver linings to this performance. Asa Newell, he played a solid 39 minutes, a career high, Had a healthy double-double, efficient day, 7 for 13 shooting from field, 11 rebounds, and even got a 3-point in there and 1 for 3 from the arc. Buddy Hield, he had a throwback, 7 for 11 day from three-point land, getting up there in the ranks for Hawks single-game record, and good for 31 points. Could he potentially provide some sharpshooting off the bench for the Hawks and be a surprise X factor? Corey Kispert, efficient 21 points in 29 minutes, good on-ball defense versus guys like Tyler Hero. An efficient day, 7 for 12 field goals, 5 for 9 3-points. We'll need some 3-and-D from Corey Kispert here in the second round. Guys versus guys like Josh Hart. So this game for the Hawks, you saw a lot of positive things from guys you probably want to work into the rotation some in playoffs, including Zachary Shea. Nice day as well. Nearly a double-double for him. Get to that in a minute, but one thing you definitely saw as well from Christian Kloko and Tony Bradley minutes from this game, I think you have a clear answer as to what to do, and that is simply do not play either in the playoffs and ride with Asa Newell potentially playing some minutes at center in worst case scenario. That is with Jock Landale still being out. We'll get to him in just a minute. So Asa, he provides some really solid defense and showing a steady, solid paint presence, having the double-double. He also had a block this game as well, a little bit of nice defense. And is showing the Anzi Soleil draft trade potentially being exponentially great work at Genius. If Asa Newell can mold into a solid rotation player, he still has a lot of upside. Like the man we traded him away for, that is. And as well, the Hawks got a pick out of that. The Pelicans pick, and that'll be a lottery pick. So looking at Jock Landale, when will he return? I think ideal first case scenario would be returning when the Hawks return to home in Atlanta, but a lot of that will be determined in Game 1 Saturday, and we still don't know. He might be available by then, but Game 1, I think, will be a determining factor whether or not we see Jock Landale potentially in Game 2. So Hawks are looking for a potential 8-man rotation with Jock out, with C.J. Naw, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Kagu, with Corey Kispert, Jonathan Kuminga, and Mo Gay coming off the bench. Sprinkling in guys like Reza Shea, Vincent, and Asa Newell to potentially help in filling extra minutes. And Reza Shea, he's shown, I believe, a more versatile defending presence than Mo Gay, as well, a more physical presence, more successful presence in the offensive rebounding game. Reza Shea has a real knack to finding that ball coming off the offensive board. So he might factor in a little bit more than Mo Gay in a potential 8-man rotation for Hawks, depending on how they feel he'll do. Yeah, this will be the most interesting thing to track as from the coach's perspective, as Quinn Snyder objectively had some very strange rotations at times. He could potentially describe as wonky. And how does he organize here in the biggest games of his career so far in the Hawks' point? In Utah, obviously, Quinn Snyder did great in the playoffs, and hopefully he does again here. So, of course, we have 3 key stats this broadcast, whether or not team wins a game. That is field goal percentage, rebounding, and turnovers. It was a clean sweep in that category. Hawks did not win a single one. Now, the Hawks, with 16 turnovers, they did not have a single player over 3. So that's good. So Buddy Hield, aforementioned 31 points. Zachary Shea, nearly double-double, 11 points, 9 rebounds, 5 for 8 shooting from field in 24 minutes. We saw some Hawks we don't often see. Keyshawn Gilbert, 26 minutes. Ray J. Dennis, 27 minutes. Bam Adebayo, he did not break Kobe Bryant's record again, but he got a solid double-double, 25 points, 10 rebounds. They got a little bit of Twin Tower action as well with Cleo Ware also in their front court. Norman Powell, can he resurge? He was an all-star and had a great year up to that point. Struggled a little bit after the all-star break, but he could be huge on potential matchup versus the Heat. Paolo Banchero, he got a triple-double versus Boston. And a loss, unfortunately. Scotty Barnes, he got a triple-double in a win versus the Brooklyn as the Raptors absolutely blew them out. Lachlan Ulbrich, he squeaked out a triple-double for the Bulls. Got some triple-doubles there. Double-doubles. Asa Newell, he got one. Luke Garza, he absolutely went off for us, Orlando. They could not contain him. Some turnover leaders yesterday. Tyrese Proctor, 7 turnovers. My goodness. Paolo Banchero, 6 turnovers. Likely a large reason why the Magic lost yesterday. LaMelo Ball, 5 turnovers. He's got to clean up there for the playoffs. All right, continuing going forward. All right. All right, back here after some technical difficulties. 7 for 3. Buddy Hield as well. He had a throwback game, 7-11 from 3-point land, getting up there in the ranks for Hawks single game record there. Good for 31 points. Could he eventually provide some sharp shooting off the bench there for the Hawks? A few minutes a game. Corey Kispert, an efficient 21 points in 29 minutes as well. He had good on-ball defense versus guys like Tyler Hero. Tough guard to defend in today's game. 7 for 12 field goals was Corey Kispert. 5 for 9 from 3-point land. Also being a nice shooter. 3-and-D from Corey Kispert. We can use some minutes like that going here into this first round matchup versus the Knicks. This game from the Hawks saw a lot of positive things from guys you probably want to work in the rotation. Some in the playoffs. Some not been playing as much recently. Austin Newell and such. Zachary Riche, you've seen his minutes reduced. He had a decent day as well. As well, for Christian Cloco and Tony Bradley minutes from this game, I think you have a clear answer as what to do. Simply do not play them either in the playoffs. Ride with Austin Newell playing some minutes at center if you have to in worst case scenario. He really provided a solid paint presence last night and steady hand, and really showing to the Anzi Saleh draft trade to potentially be an exponentially great work, a genius. If Austin Newell can mold into a solid rotation player like the man we traded away from for him, the Pelicans pick, that is, that would be huge for the Hawks and just look like an absolute slam dunk of a trade. Assuming we get a decent pick. Sure. It's a lot to assume that lottery. I believe it's May 10th. Did cover that in a recent episode. Go back and listen to previous episodes of BOS Sports Blogcast. I said the date in there somewhere. So, looking for Jock Landale to return. Starting for the Hawks. Could be determined by what happens in Game 1 Saturday. There'll be a couple off days between Game 1 and Game 2. But I'd look for Jock Landale ideally to return when the Hawks return to Atlanta after the first two games. Try to split 1-1, come back, take home court advantage, get Jock Landale that extra day. As if you're looking in the second round and Eastern Conference Finals, is quite a lot of matchups just beyond Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell from the Knicks. That's going to give us fits. You got Queta, Nemas Queta, and Nikola Vucevic there for the Celtics. They doubled up at center as well. And, of course, you got the Pistons, Jalen Duren, and Isaiah Stewart. Although the Pistons haven't been quite as formidable since the trade deadline. As, of course, Jaden Ivey, he got into all that hoopla and whatnot. But he's out of the league. And so it takes on him potentially impacting the Pistons and being good for them, or kind of Cook defaulted, however you want to put it. But he really gave the Hawks fits in our previous matchups from. Of course, they traded away and got Kevin Huerter. They basically duplicated Duncan Robinson. Haven't been quite the same team since. Not quite as formidable as a matchup. All right, so here back to the Hawks. Looking at our first round matchup, potential 8-man rotation with Jock Landale out. CJ Naw, Dyson Daniels, Neil Johnson on Nick and Kagu with Corey Kispert, Kuminga, Mo Gay as the primary suspects off the bench. Sprinkling in guys like Reza Shea, Vincent, and Austin Newell. You might like Reza Shea a little bit more than Mo Gay in some circumstances, as Riche has shown himself to be a little bit more versatile defender as well, more productive on that offensive glass. He's really physical in that offensive rebounding game and really savvy at, too, Zachary Riche. He has a knack to come up with those loose balls and second chance opportunities. But then you'd have guys like Gabe Vincent as well and Reza Shea, depending on what between him and Mo Gay, what they do. Help fill in some extra minutes. This will be the most interesting thing to track from Quinn's perspective. Of course, in the regular season, his lineups are highly debated and arguably, objectively, sometimes wonky. How does he organize here in the biggest games of his Hawks career to this point? In Utah, obviously, he did great as a playoff coach, so hopefully he does as well for the Hawks. 3 key stats whether or not team wins basketball game. Hawks lost all of them. Ugh. Nothing pretty to recap here. Reza Shea nearly a double-double. 0 blocks. You'd like to see a little bit more inside presence. Asa Newell, he got blocked. You'd like to see that. Reza Shea, he played a solid 24 minutes. Had a few extra guys. Ray J. Dennis got 27 minutes. Keyshawn Gilbert. Some Hawks won't really see much of. Keaton Wallace could potentially factor in the Hawks if they're to get an injury. 32 minutes. Really gaudy shooting numbers, so. Bam Adebayo. He did not break Kobe's record again. They did have solid double-double. 25, 10. Norman Powell, he's balling out again. That could be a big X factor if Norman Powell can ball out like he did earlier this season prior to the All-Star game. Seemed like right after that All-Star game, he's struggling some, but he's back tonight or last night with a 25-point advantage. Of course, Miami Heat, they got that little bit of Twin Tower thing going as well with Bam Adebayo and Leo Ware. Very solid front court combo there for Heat. So, triple doubles in the NBA. Paolo Banchero, he had a triple double. Scotty Barnes, triple double. Lachlan Albrecht for the Chicago Bulls. He squeaked out a triple double with 10, 15, and 10. Luke Garza, double double. We'll factor in there for the Celtics as he's basically replaced Luke Cornett effectively. So, Asa Newell, double double. Andre Drummond, you factor in a little bit in that 76ers series. All right. High turnover games. Like to cover some of those. LaMelo Ball, 5 turnovers. Tyrese Proctor, 7 turnovers. Paolo Banchero, 6 turnovers. Long to go with his triple-double. Do we have any Hawks here in our... No Hawk, despite the 16 Hawks turnovers, none of them had at least 4. Double check that. That's good. LeBron James, 4 turnovers. Derek Queen, 4 turnovers yesterday. All right, so just before we recap some of the Braves game yesterday, let's go ahead and have our Stuart Scott tribute. This is from BOS Sports, episode 74. There's some relevant points made in that episode, and one that will potentially come true in the coming weeks here in the favor of the Hawks. So, gotta go back and look at that episode 74 as there's some good moments and relevant points made towards that reflect and age well to this point in the season, at least for some of the other teams' leagues. Maybe not as much so for the Hawks, as things were looking pretty bleak at that time, but it did include Stuart Scott and Kobe Bryant tribute, so here we go. Again, check it out again. Based here. Here is Stuart Scott with Kobe Bryant, 2 icons of the NBA, the 90s and 2000s, 2 GOATs. Of course, Stuart Scott had many fun
How you doing? Hey, what's up? That's exactly what Jordan would have picked. Also very Jordan-esque.
Championship Sunday? No. I guess because it's an NBA game where a guy does something that has not been done in 44 years. You got to see it to believe it.
So Rich Eisen, he had a brilliant tribute episode over the summer, over last summer. I believe it was in August, Sports Center, while Scott Van Pelt was away taking a break. It was absolutely brilliant. I encourage everyone to go back, look and view as many videos of Stuart Scott as possible. If you're not familiar, if you didn't live in that era. So here we have Kobe Bryant now and Iverson, switching gears a little bit. Life's too short. It's great to see them getting along together off the court, even though they were fierce rivals on the court and some of the best players in the NBA of all time history. Kobe Bryant, he spent much of his childhood in Italy, growing up, as well in the States, Pennsylvania, where he went to high school, in Lower Merion High School. Kobe Bryant.
From preparation. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before, right? So when I prepare, I know what I'm capable of doing, I know what I'm comfortable doing, and I know what I'm not comfortable doing, right? And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. So it's one more time.
So in addition to watching games, Kobe Bryant, you got to check out his interviews. He's an absolute intellectual. He spoke up to 6 languages, 3 fluently, with, of course, Italian, growing up, spending some time in Italy. Speaking Spanish as well, another Romance language, not too dissimilar from Italian. Of course, English as well. He also spoke conversational elements of French, Slovenian, and Chinese. He heckled Luka Doncic. His famous quote, famous interview that we see Luka reacting and talking about Kobe, trash talking him in Slovenian. Drafted by the Hornets, traded to the Lakers, ended the career with a 3rd most scoring all time. 18 All-Star selections, All-Star Game MVP honors, 4 of them, tied for most at the time with Bob Pettit. Youngest starter in All-Star history. 81-point game, 5 titles. He had 2 three-peats. He had a title three-peat with Shaq in the early 2000s. So we see Pacers versus his first finals game, where he became one of the Lakers under 22 to score 25 or more points, along with Magic Johnson, who is the youngest to have done so. Kobe, his second three-peat he had in 2008, 2009, 2010. It was of the Western Conference Finals, though. Of course, he lost 2008 to what was considered the first super team at the time, the Boston Celtics. Of course, you can argue many teams prior. In previous episodes, I've even said the 1999 Knicks were pretty super teamy with all the stars they had. And of course, you had the Michael Jordan Bulls. As we saw Stuart Scott just earlier, people compared Kobe Bryant to Michael Jordan all the time. And you absolutely have to. I mean, he denied so many contemporaries greatness. And we'll see here later on, he denied Spurs from being potentially the greatest franchise and greatest dynasty ever, between Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, earlier years, of course, David Robinson. But just like how Michael Jordan denied Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler, could both arguably be both the top 10 players in NBA history if they had more championships that were denied by Michael Jordan. Top 10 or 15. Clyde Drexler would make argument for top 10 if he had 3 titles. Of course, 2 with Rockets and 1 with Blazers if he beat Jordan one time. Kobe Bryant, he did the same kind of thing. We'll see later on his late dynasty. Of course, he denied that Suns team several times. See him exit Steve Nash in that conference finals. So many great players. That Celtics team, they could have had 2 titles. He denied that. The big 3 Celtics 2 titles. I think Kevin Durant, Paul Pierce, what the resume would be with 2 titles. So here's the 2001 NBA Finals. We all know how that happened. And denying Allen Iverson, one of maybe my favorite player of all time titles. Some of my favorite players of all time in this team. Eric Snow, Aaron McKie. Aaron McKie's at the crossroads of greatest hominin names all time. Of course, you have Jalen. All the Jalens. Jalen Rose. Jalen Brown, how he spells his name. Derek, you got the 2 different spellings of Derek. Derek Fisher, Derek Rose, that's probably number 2. McKee, there's somewhere along the line. You got Derek McKee of the Pacers, who I believe we just saw a little while ago, or he was on that 2000 Pacers team at one time. You have Aaron McKee, who we're watching now. Both spelled differently. The Sixers, I believe they were missing George Lynch, if memory serves me correctly. So, of course, they won that first game versus the Lakers in 2001. Everyone thought they had a chance to upset them. And here we're seeing in Game 2, Lakers putting absolute belt to ass on the 2001 Sixers. And that's just what they did. They denied greatness. Here is, of course, one of the most memorable moments in NBA history, the 4.4 second shot. I thought the game was over. Tim Duncan hit that shot. I was amazed he hit it. And then seconds later, absolute devastation. We'll see Kobe Bryant. He didn't hit the shot. He was on the floor. He's a part of that memorable moment. Of course, he had a great series, as he always does, as a force against that Spurs team. And that's just what Kobe Bryant does. He cooks your team, and then you cry at them. Sometimes you even start cheering for him. We'll see some fan reactions from that. So here he is again versus Spurs. I believe this is 2008, leading up to the finals in that run on his three-peat with Pau Gasol. It was a decent roster, Pau Gasol. I just made the point, whether or not he would be on the Hawks, that would be a great team. The crossloads, the Lawrence and Wright trade and stuff like that. But Pau Gasol, Ron Artest, Metta World Peace, all those name changes he went to. He's like the Prince of NBA. Prince changed his name to the symbol. Ron Artest changed his name to Metta World Peace. So here we go. Lakers Nuggets denying Carmelo Anthony greatness. Is that Kenyon Martin? Was he on that team? And he was on the Nuggets, but old memories here coming back. This must have been 2009, playing the Nuggets. And Kobe Bryant's just cooking them. And here's the Suns, 2010. By that time, Kobe had a great range from three-point arc. He could shoot off the dribble in many situations. Let's see a corner three versus the Celtics. I think that played earlier. He hit it in front of a heckler, a Celtics heckler, in 2010 finals. His jump shot development over his career was just amazing. I mean, it was already good when he came in his league, but as the broadcasters stated, after he hit that corner three, I believe that was Jeff Van Gundy. It just should not be fair. Miss Jeff Van Gundy. Hopefully he comes back to broadcasting. So there's that Phoenix fan cheering for Kobe Bryant after he cooked his team. That's what happens. That's the last thing you see. He cooks your team so hard you start cheering for him, and then you see him partying at the end there. So aforementioned, January is a solemn month for NBA fans. Hopefully, these pictures, memories of two GOATs, both on the court and off the court, Kobe Bryant and Stuart Scott, bring fond memories to all that miss him. So, this has been a great episode of BOS Sports Blogcast. Next week, I created the Hawks in an old basketball simulator. All right, so that was from BOS Sports Blogcast, episode 84. Be sure to check it out and all of the previous episodes. All right, so a little bit of recap here. Braves last night, 13-1. My goodness. Braves for the second time, 3 days, absolutely blow out the Cleveland Guardians. They're now the Guardians. Of course, Guardians, they took game Saturday. They really struggled versus Martin Perez. He's out. He's been DFA'd. So the Guardians really made most of their headway versus the bullpen. A lot of people want to see those bullpen pieces gone, but we'll see what they do. But anyways, last night, 13-1. Truest part, Jorge Mateo, hot bat, 4 for 4 with 1 RBI. Quality start from Chris Sale, 6 innings, 1 earned run. Dylan Dodd came in for 3 innings to close out the game, gave our bullpen some much-needed rest here for the upcoming NL East matchups this week versus Marlins for 3, Phillies for 3. We got a series in between, then we see the Phillies again the next week. So we're gearing up for 10 straight games here after the break, as we have an off day this Thursday. And we'll need our high leverage guys as we have a couple NL East series coming up between Marlins and Phillies, both of which have been fairly solid here to start the season, although they're under 500 now. The Phillies are. So tonight we have Yuri Perez and Grant Holmes. Yuri Perez is having a bounce back season. Of course, he had the arm injury, I believe Tommy John a couple of years ago. He's coming back. He's looked very solid. Grant Holmes, he struggled some. He's as well had some good starts here for the Braves. So it's a little bit of worrisome matchup. Of course, Marlins, they have upshot guys, Xavier Edwards, Kyle Manzardo. So we'll see how all that works out for them. First, Grant Holmes. As well, other news, Braves option Dylan Dodd back to Gwinnett Stripers and brought up a fresh arm. Voldy Munoz. Be good for Dylan Dodd to get some rest after those 3 innings yesterday. He's throwing some nice cheese, mid-90s sinkers there. So what can be done if AAA while the Braves get a fresh arm. Voldy Munoz, we get to check him out as well. Bullpen has been a bit wonky. Saturday's game was a disaster, of course, imploding, giving up all those runs. Game got out of reach for the Braves as they could not hit as well. So Braves, it's been redundantly stated the last team not to lose a series, as the Dodgers the lost one versus the Guardians earlier this year. Dodgers remain number 1 power rankings. Braves are looking like an NL East upshot and potential challenger again this year. We'll get into more of that in just a minute. But Tanner Bybee has been solid overall, but is prone to struggles, and he certainly did again last night. So Atlanta put 3 in the second, 2 in the fourth, 4 in the fifth. Really put the game away in the 8th inning. 4 runs as we brought in Kyle Farmer for some hitting, and he had a solid 2 RBI day with a hit, a 1 for 3 day. And Braves are going to have to make a decision once Sean Murphy comes back. AJC, Chad Bishop just reported Spencer Strider and Sean Murphy played toss today. Spencer Strider, he had a bullpen a bit more correctly, and Sean Murphy caught it. So good for them, and who knows, they might have a rehab start together. As Sean Murphy is slated to begin rehab this week. And Spencer Strider probably going to start for the Stripers this weekend. So it'd be a cool thing to see. All right, back to this game. Ronald Acuna Jr., 2 for 4, an RBI. He's starting to heat up. Drake Baldwin, 0 for 5. Concerning day. He did have an RBI knock, a sack knock there for the Braves. Adelson, 2 for 5. Austin Riley, 2 for 5 as well. Did have 2 strikeouts, but Austin Riley's starting to heat up some. Ozzy Albies, he appears to be back offensively this year. Great to see one of our favorite Braves players. He was 3 for 4 yesterday. Mauricio Dubon, 3 for 4 as well. Don Smith, 1 for 2. He had that home run as well. He's still cooking. Nice to see for Don Smith. He'll factor in trending downwards to Don Smith, factoring into any plans the Braves potentially trying to DFA a position player here going forward. It's looking that like Jonah Heim is unfortunately going to have to be the man out. And it sucks because catcher going to be snatched up. Some other team's going to need a catcher and they're going to snatch him up. So slow start, in between start for me, guys. Just covered Sean Murphy's rehab assignment. Ha-Sam Kim potentially coming back in mid-May or May as well. Got Mauricio Dubon in left field and Yaz on the bench if things continue and trend this way, as Mike Yastrzemski has been struggling some. And we want to keep Don Smith's hot back active as well. He'll be providing stern competition at the DH spot for Sean Murphy coming back healthy, and good problem for the Braves to have with a couple guys slated and competing for the DH spot. Was signed by Alex Anthopoulos, Dom Smith. Anyways, looking down the road, top of the line, ace quality starting pitcher. Still appears to be Braves' top needs and potential clutch matchup. Looking way ahead. The Dodgers, of course, they have Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto competing with each other for Cy Young. Tyler Glass now doing great. Roki Sasaki struggled again yesterday, but has nice stuff. He could always turn around. Blake Snell lurking for them as well. Braves have Spencer Schwellenbach and Hurston Waldrop. We've not got any regressions on their progression. So hoping to see them come back and at least one of them make a huge impact for the Braves. So looking around the league yesterday, Jalen Duren, the top performer, 4 at-bats, 3 RBIs. Dylan Dingler, he's at it again, 3 RBIs yesterday, as the Detroit Tigers are starting to turn things around. Aaron Judge in yesterday's loss had 2 RBIs. Bobby Witt Jr. He's starting to heat up a little bit. 2 RBIs, 3 walks yesterday. Ramon Laureano, he continues to hit well for the Padres, who with the Dodgers and Braves are the 3 10-win teams so far this season. If you watch my season preview, I like the Padres to slug well and hit well, overcome some of their pitching problems, especially in the starter department. And it's happened. Of course, they did just play a series versus the Colorado Rockies where that'll be a little bit easier to do. Nolan Arenado continues to produce, and he's had an RBI. I believe that was a sacrifice RBI in that Phillies loss yesterday to the Diamondbacks. Nick Kurtz, he's starting to heat up after that slow series versus the Braves. He had a nice weekend versus the Mets in 3 at-bats. He had a hit and RBI yesterday. Brady House, name we've been talking about a lot here in BOS Sports. Only 1 for 5 yesterday with RBI. The Nationals have been hitting some as all James Wood, Curtis Mead, Brady House, James Wood, Jose Tena, they all had RBIs yesterday. That's a nice little lineup they have there. A little bit lacking in the pitching department, especially the starting department and the bullpen. Pitching all over, but they have some guys who get it done. They're certainly a thorn team to deal with. A team to watch as well coming up here in the NL East as well. We might be seeing Phillies and Mets there on the downside of their trajectory. They might need a rebuild. So, multi-hit games. Jorge Mateo, 4 for 4, the perfect man of the day. Wilson Contreras was 4 for 5. No one had more than 4 hits yesterday. Jorge Mateo was top leaders in MLB yesterday. Francisco Lindor, he had a 2 for 4 a day. 0 RBIs, though, as he continues to struggle a little bit. Drew Rasmussen, he had the same UCL brace procedure as Spencer Strider. Yesterday, he blanked the New York Yankees in 6 innings with 1 hit, 7 Ks. Jose Soriano, he had a nice game. Brace Sanders, remember, just last week. He did again yesterday versus the Reds. 7 innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, 10 Ks. Wow. They got real ace by the Angels doing Jose Soriano. Dylan Dodd, he's up there with a scoreless outing. 3 innings, 1 hit, 2 Ks. We got a few MLB struggling performers. See who we got. Jake Berger, 0 for 5, 1 for 5 day. That's not so bad. 4 Ks, though. Rafael Devers, 1 for 4. Jonathan Aranda, 0 hits. The Rays got the victory. No big worry for them. O'Neal Cruz, you could hear, I think that was yesterday in Saturday's game. Chicago Cubs fan, you could clearly hear him on the mic say, "Come to the Cubs!" Cruz. He's actively recruiting his opponent while he's in the batter's box. Interesting strategy there by the Cubs fans. He was 1 for 4 yesterday with RBI, a walk, 3 strikeout. Mike Yastrzemski, unfortunately, is in the strikeout struggles, MLB struggling performers. This is the strikeout struggles. Mike Yastrzemski had 3. So some hitless days. Unfortunately, Drake Baldwin is there. At least he had an RBI there. That's more you could say for Kyle Raleigh. He also was 0 for 5, no RBIs. Roman Anthony, 0 for 5, but also had Geraldo Perdomo, 0 for 5. Adolis Garcia, now on the Phillies, 0 for 5. Rafael Marchand for the Phillies, 0 for 4. Excuse me, Garcia was 0 for 4. Lawrence Butler, 0 for 4. Trent Grisham, 0 for 4. Miguel Vargas, 0 for 4. Sidney Pasquantino, 0 for 4. Sal Frelick, 0 for 4. There's tons of guys who were 0 for 4 yesterday. Joey Bart, Ian Happ, Tyler Freeman, Pico Armstrong. Dodgers, Max Muncy. All right. Nick Castellanos. That's a ton of guys not hitting. Walk problem. Roki Sasaki led the league in walks yesterday. 5 walks, 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, only 2 home runs, and 6 Ks. There's a viral video out that showed something about him tipping his pitches. I didn't watch it, but I did see it. Put that on the slate to watch later. I saw it this morning in my rush. So, other games around the NBA, the Celtics, they beat the Orlando Magic. We wanted the Magic to win, as the Hawks, they had a head-to-head advantage, and that would have put the Hawks to the 5th seed, but it didn't happen. Celtics win 113-108. Magic somehow pull it off versus the 76ers. That's a 4 or 5 game series. Hornets, they beat the Knicks yesterday. Hornets are a good team. I like them. Well, other MLB games, Giants in a battle of the Oranges versus the Orioles. Lost 6-2 at Camden Yards. Athletics 1-0 versus the Mets. Frank had to have been screaming. So, Detroit Tigers starting to turn around some. 8-2 over the Marlins, who the Braves play tonight. Cubs 7-6 over the Pirates. Of course, they I think that was extra innings yesterday. That game where the Saturday's game where the Cubs fan was actively trying to recruit Jorge Mateo. And that game went to extra innings. Cubs couldn't get it done, but close victory. They get it done today. Before we go, I'm going to go back to Hawks here and look at some season totals. So we got C.J. McCollum, 18.7 points per game, 3.9 assists, 45.5% shooting, offensive rating 113.6. That is an above average. That's a good offensive rating. He's been a very positive addition for the Hawks. Knockdown shooter. He'll be a key offensive producer for the Hawks here in the playoffs. So, as well, he's a free agent going in this offseason. It'll be interesting what the Hawks do. I think you have to try to bring him back. The Hawks are pretty thin at guard depth. You'd like to add another point guard somewhere to this Hawks roster, maybe in free agency. You have to make those kinds of calls after the draft to see what pick the Hawks have. So, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But I think you definitely want CJ back at this point. So Nickeil Alexander-Walker, perhaps a mid-level exception. Yeah. Multi-year mid-level exception. So 20.8 points per game for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Should be favorite for most improved player, as I think Jalen Johnson is deserving of more bona fide NBA player awards. So 20.8 points per game, assists per game, 3.7, 45.9%. Field goal percentage, 39.9%, three-point percentage. That's good shooting for a guard. And offensive rating of 116.1, which is absolutely stellar. Accidentally put in Magic Johnson's 85-86 stat line. So he was not on the Hawks. He was on the Lakers in the 80s. 18.8 points per game, 52.6 field goal percentage. He averaged 12.6 assists per game. What a year by Magic Johnson. All right, back to the Hawks. Onyeka Okongwu, 15.2 points per game this year, 10.6 rebounds per game, 37.6% shooting from three-point land, 16 double-doubles, defensive rating 111, offensive rating 113. With Onyeka Okongwu's three-point shooting ability, you definitely have to factor him in as a potential starting center. That's been a little bit of debate here. I've been on the other side of that take some points here for the Hawks, potentially looking for a starting center, but that three-point shooting is absolutely deadly. And of course, he's a great screener, great ball handler, does all these great things, just gets outsized a little bit. And we, of course, saw that versus Evan Mobley a couple times in the last couple weeks when they'd match up. So Dyson Daniels, 11 points, 11.9 points per game. Of course, he won Most Improved Player last year. 6.8 rebounds per game, 5.9 assists per game. A 51.7 field goal percentage. Very nice for a guard. He does play some forward minutes, so 2 steals per game, 15 double-doubles. Nice year for Dyson Daniels. Jalen Johnson, 22.5 points per game, 35.2 minutes per game, 48.9 field goal percentage. Teams played 72, so he qualifies for all the awards. 49 double-doubles. My goodness, that's a lot. Triple-doubles, 13. That's a healthy number as well. I believe he wound up third behind Josh Giddey. Got to double-check that, though. So, defensive rating, 112.3 for Jalen Johnson, 115.5 offensive rating. Jalen Johnson, he's about 14 months removed from that shoulder impingement surgery. I believe, and I stated in my own broadcast episodes, hoping the Hawks would be cautious with him on defense. Of course, that was the play last year versus the Pistons, which he got injured on in his first season back. Announced the playoffs. It's time for Jalen Johnson to absolutely unload, and he can definitely clamp. He can definitely play defense on Karl-Anthony Towns or Mitchell there as well. He's going to be crucial if the Hawks make it to the Celtics. It's going to be him versus Jason Tatum. And the battle of the Jalen versus Jason Tatum, that'd be one of the best matchups, playoff matchups we've seen this decade. So we have to hope it happens. And that's the Hawks starting lineup here. So, covering all 5 players there, their season ending averages. All right, next episode of BOS Sports Blogcast will be in, I don't know, about somewhere 10 days and 10 days and 2 weeks. I might miss the entirety of the first round. Hopefully not. Blogcast. Oh, hopefully so, actually. Hopefully the Hawks take care of business in short series. So be sure to listen to previous episodes of BOS Sports Blogcast. We'll be going back to weekly here, starting sometime probably early June after Memorial Day. Be sure to listen